Welcome everybody to AI Lab Unfiltered. We're doing something a little bit different. We don't have a featured guest here for this episode, and it'll be a shorter episode too. But we just wanted to give a little bit of background into how Drew and I got started with the West Michigan AI Lab and how we ended up doing a podcast.
And if you're not familiar with the West Michigan AI Lab, the meetup that we have, it's a once a month meetup where we like to feature speakers in the West Michigan area and beyond, I guess now, talking about AI in practical sense, very similar to the podcast is, but it's a live meetup group. We don't have any kind of remote capabilities, and we're strategically doing that. We were just talking about that before this, that we strategically don't want to have any remote in capabilities because we want to make it very organic conversation in the moment. And we have some great conversations that happen. A lot of passionate people about AI in one area or the other, or people that aren't even passionate about AI that want to learn more and
just want to know,
are against AI. Even some of them have been
and are vocal about it.
Yeah.
So kind of how things, that's weird that I'm looking at you telling your story about us. I don't want to look at the camera either, but so we're just going to look at each other. So I don't know, this is late 2023, mid 2023. The great and mighty Jen Wangler from The Right Place. Shout out to Jen. Thank you for really helping kick all this off. Knew that I was, and others in the area were passionate about AI, and why not start getting people together? She knows a ton of people, connected me with Drew, and we became quick friends and said, hey, let's together kind of partner up and do this meetup thing. So if you go to meetup.com and search West Michigan AI Lab, you can find us there. Any upcoming meetups that we have are in there, and we're 500 members now.
Pushing 500 at this point.
Which is awesome. We have people that have come from Detroit, but most people are West Michigan type folks. Every session we bring in a featured speaker and they talk about something different. We've had someone who started an AI app. We have Josh Barker from City Innovations who spoke about how to locally host your own LLM on home-built hardware for a couple $1,000.
AI and branding, AI with emotional intelligence with Dan. We just had
a little bit of everything. Next month, we have someone talking about mapping the ocean floors with AI and satellites and, spoiler alert, space lasers, if you're interested in that kind of thing. And Drew and I share a very similar passion around AI. Like, we use AI daily. But the reason that the meetup is a thing is because we both recognize and we're concerned about people that we love, people that we don't even know, getting left behind with AI.
Yeah.
And there's anything new that comes out, unless you're a kind of nerdy person like us, there's that fear of the unknown. Like, how do I even sign up? What is it? Is it going to take over my life? Is it going to steal my credit card information? Is it going to leak all my information to the Chinese government? Like, there's all these fears that people have, and they're legitimate fears because all those are things that have happened in the past with technology. So now you have a technology that's even more powerful and more human-like, and there's this great promise. People are worried it's going to take their jobs. So these are the kind of things that we talk about in the local meetup. So if you want to be a part of those conversations, this last one that we had is one of the best that we've had. It was a very lively conversation. We had, 30, 40 people in the room, and people have different perspectives in what it is and where it's going to go. So that's where that came from.
And we're always looking for new guests. We're always looking for new topics. So if anybody has any, hey, you should talk to this person, please throw it in the comments below. We'd love to talk to that. Even on this podcast too, we're always looking for good guests. We're always looking for, who's out there. For this one, we can actually remote in and have people that are from out of town that can be on the podcast as well and online remote in. So we're always looking for good people. people that are using AI in the capacity that they're using. And I talk to a lot of people. You do too, but I talk to a lot of, I don't want to discredit that, but I talk to a lot of people that are using AI in capacities around town, big companies I can have a great conversation with them on the phone, but they can't talk about it publicly. And I get it. You can't let us know what the ingredients of the secret sauce is yet when you're working on something that's proprietary. But I know a lot of big companies on here that are using AI in certain fashions that are really neat. And I'm excited to talk about that when they can talk about it. But like, to your point, there's a lot of companies that aren't even using it at all, and they have policies against it. And I think that's going to be a losing battle, because if you are not putting put a policy in place, put something effective in that can guide your people they're going to use it. They're going to use it.
Yep.
So be able to guide that in. And if you're not embracing it in some form, you're going to get left behind. You're absolutely going to get left behind.
Someday, when I'm long gone in this world, I want people to go back to a post that I made sometime I think it was in like early 2023 on LinkedIn. And I said, there will be two kinds of companies in the world: those that embrace AI and those that will be purchased by the companies that embrace AI. And it doesn't seem that bold of a statement now,
right,
just 2 years later or a couple of years later. But back then, it was before a lot of people were even really talking about it. So I want to be known as that great prognosticator that predicted, this. But
do you want that on the plaque below the bronze statue of you?
Yes,
in the town square, or where is that?
Large script. But that's a real fear, and we care about West Michigan and businesses in West Michigan. We would love it if West Michigan became this hotbed for AI innovation, and that. Why can't we be the leaders in AI?
Exactly.
Just because we're not Silicon Valley doesn't mean that there's so many smart people here, and you and I talk to them they're way smarter than us, and they know AI, and they're passionate about it too. But if businesses aren't saying that let's find these smart people, let's talk about how we can integrate AI into our businesses, then that innovation is not going to happen.
Right.
Worse yet, what you just said is people are going to use it, and it's unsanctioned shadow IT that is going to potentially harm your business because they're not using it in a safe and sanitary way. I'm curious if you guys have done this yet, but where I'm at New Wave, we have instituted an AI acceptable use policy that really spells out the ways that we want people to use AI. Have you guys done that?
We do have a policy, and it's ever evolving. I mean, as fast as AI changes, our policy changes as well, because we have to stay ahead of that as well. In being a web development company, a digital agency, we have to be on the forefront of that, and we have deeply embraced it. For a lot of our uses and workflows. And the way I know we have a policy is because we have what's called the BizBot, which is an AI-powered chatbot system that we have built for our internal system, where you can look it up and you can actually see it. So a use case to understand what the policy is. But I think you absolutely, and we're always telling people too, don't shy away from it. Don't be scared of it. Put a policy in place. Get familiar with it. Look at how other companies are using it and using that policy to put in place.
And that would be another reason to, this is not a shameless plug for the meetup, but what a way to meet other people that are using AI. We have 2 hours there, and our speakers are usually about an hour of that. So there's another hour of just networking where you can talk to people and say, how are you using AI, or what's your business doing? This is just, we need to have those conversations. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a good forum to ask those questions. You're right. I mean, that's the crux of what that is. It's not just someone presenting and that's it. We do have very good conversations. Like I said, lively earlier, but it's a safe place to start asking those, because we're all trying to navigate through what that means to use AI responsibly. And AI is such a broad term. I mean, it's a genre at that point. So great. How are other companies using it, and why should I even be using it? I mean, we address a lot of that.
Am I okay to say to people, if they are business leaders out there, they don't want to go to the meetup, could they just reach out to us on LinkedIn and just say, hey, I want to talk?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to steer it. Is I know your company and my company both use a lot of AI technologies. Not only do we use it, we're advocates of it, and we help other companies with AI and how to implement it in very different ways even. Mm-hmm. And so I would say if you're just nervous about where do I even start, just hit us up. It's always worth a conversation. Conversations are free. At least we can kind of warm that up for you and say, here's how I would implement it for you, or let's talk about your business uses. Let's talk about your business needs. Maybe AI can solve that. Maybe it can't. Maybe it can't. Right. Maybe it's not a good fit for right now, or maybe that tool set doesn't exist, or maybe it's a custom tool that needs to be built. But addressing those needs and figuring that out, I think starts with a conversation.
We have such a now vast network because we've been a part of this for over a year now, that if we don't have the answer, we can probably introduce you to somebody that does know.
Exactly.
So there's, like I said, there's people a lot smarter than us that are in that network that are also just awesome people to begin with.
Yeah.
Love sharing, love helping, and been great contributors to what we're doing here. So.
Yep, exactly.
People that are, if you're listening to this episode of the podcast, you listen to other ones, I'm sure, like those are people that we go to if we have questions and could steer people their way too.
Absolutely.
So you've shared some of your own usages of AI in your private life, your personal life.
I have. Yeah, I got a couple of go-to apps lately that I've been using that I would say that the majority of the people around me are sick of hearing about. One of them, obviously ChatGPT I use a lot. I used Claude, I used Perplexity. Just started scratching the surface of DeepSeek. I don't know a whole lot about it, but Google AI Studio is incredible if you haven't used it yet. And by the way, I use the free version of everything except ChatGPT. I've had the paid version for a while. And another app that I've been using that no pun intended, but I'm absolutely in love with is called Lovable AI, Lovable AI. I think it's lovable.dev is what the website is. And it's a text prompt to app generator. So you could literally, I know I talked to you about this a million times, but I was up late last night building another app, but there's so many productivity apps you can build on this that it's mind blowing. And it's so stinking simple to use. Now I'm on the paid version of that because I used up all my prompts. They sell it by the number of prompts per day and per month. And I have far exceeded that. I apologize to my company that I'm going to be submitting that receipt in, but it's definitely changed the game of productivity apps using AI.
And I think you and I have said this too outside of here. Like that's how we're learning this. Mm-hmm. Like we're not going to AI school.
No.
But if you just go download some of these apps, almost all of them have a free version. I think all of them do have a free version. You're not going to break anything. Just go out and try something. You never know what you're going to find that works for you. I've probably stopped using more than I keep using because they're just not applicable to what I want to do, but it's so much fun to just see what they'll do.
Yeah. And I gravitate towards the ones, you try 1,000 of them and then there's the 3 that you're going, this is what I really like. I'm going to keep using this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good video apps coming up that I really want to try with my video background of just text prompting to build a cinematic movie.
Yeah. It's crazy and how realistic and lifelike.
Exactly.
And I would say to people too, like, well, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a video person or a music person or whatever. Okay. Then you don't even get one of the apps yet. Just go like to YouTube and just type in AI video maker and you'll get to watch other people and they usually share their prompts and everything in the video, like in step by step how they're doing it to kind of get you over that mental hurdle of I don't know all this technology stuff. YouTube is the best place to learn about anything.
Exactly.
And you get to watch them do it as they're doing it. So you just literally copy and do exactly what they're doing and you can recreate that. And that's a great way to learn too. I spent plenty of time.
I think we're definitely in that bell curve of, because we're so in the infant stage of AI, I think we're definitely in that everybody's open and sharing like everything they know
Yeah.
about it for the most part. And I know I just talked about companies that are getting
That's
to that
the minority
proprietary
case, though.
And it is. And they're still sharing it with me. They just can't publicly come out and say, hey, here's exactly how we're, because then there's liability of, well, I want to use it now. But I think we're in that. I can share everything with you until we get to that point of, oh, now here's how I really know how to use it, or I can build some app out of it. Then it becomes closed. But there's so much open right now that you can just look at and find out what's the prompt you're using? You know, how are you putting that in there? What are you getting? What kind of result? All results may vary.
And they will. And like, that's one interesting thing about AI too, is you and I could put the same prompt into the same tool and get a slightly different result.
Exactly.
And certainly if you put the same prompt in two different tools, you can certainly get a different result.
And I do that a lot. I'll do it in ChatGPT, then I'll jump over to Claude, then I'll jump over to Perplexity. If I've got the time, I'll start looking at all of them and kind of mix that all together.
That's another thing that's easy to learn, easy and hard to learn, the prompts. Because when you first start doing it, you don't know how to talk to the AI. And for those who don't know, you can literally just talk to the AI. You can just press a little button and it'll understand your voice and it'll talk back and you can have a real conversation. I know you do that in your car.
I do it all the time.
But if you want to type it in, I'm more apt to type it in than I am to speak to the AI. Because it's usually at home and I'm on the couch watching basketball with my wife and she doesn't want to hear me talk to the AI, so I'm typing it in. But these prompts that's a skill in its own that's not impossible to learn, but there's a skill that I think everyone should try to learn over time. And that's a lot of that on YouTube as well. Reddit is also a great place to learn about AI. There's dedicated subreddits that are just for prompt engineering, and people, again, very giving of their time and their information, just freely giving all this super powerful information away that you can use in your personal and business life.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's wrap this up. You want to take us out?
Yes. So if you at all enjoyed this for some reason, go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and that will alert you to any new episodes that are coming out. And we'd love to hear from you. So please reach out and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.